Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Tuesday, October 27th, and I'm Blair Kerkhoff. It's been a while since we've caught up with Sporting Kansas City. Let's see what's going on. First place in the Western Conference with 3 regular season games remaining, starting with Wednesday's game at Cincinnati. That's pretty good. A 4-1-1 record over the last 6, and coming off a 4-zip victory over the Colorado Rapids. So things are looking up for Sporting. Beat writer Shaun Goodwin drops by, and we talk about the team and drill down a bit on Alan Pulido, who's been outstanding all season. After a break, we hear from Peter Vermes, who met with reporters on Tuesday. So let's get started with Shaun Goodwin. Shaun Goodwin is here, and Shaun, it's been quite a while since we've chatted. A couple of weeks, maybe 3. I don't know. How you been?
Good. I'm staying busy. Not to get political on here, but I'm voting for the first time ever on Thursday on my birthday. So it's a good week.
Okay, so if you're voting Thursday, that means you're doing it early because
Yes.
Election Day is Tuesday. But congratulations on that's one of the very cool things about being an American citizen is you're exercising your right to vote. Don't reveal it, but have you picked candidates yet? Have you studied it? Have you gone down the use the Stars voting guide website?
I am. I don't know if the Wichita Eagle has the same voting guides as well, but that's actually what I went through originally. But I like to think as a journalist, I try to stay somewhat informed. It's kind of my job. So I picked my candidates, and as well for just all the other local and state offices. So I'm looking forward to it. It's nice to finally feel like I can somewhat make an impact, as small as one vote can be.
Well, when you go to the polling place, tell them you're a first-time voter, and you will get a round of applause. That's what happened when I voted early. Yeah, another. I don't know if it's an American custom, but it's certainly a Johnson County, Kansas custom in the polling place. So, congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll say if I tell them it's my birthday, we'll bring out like a cake as well.
Yeah, that's also another American tradition. Just keep telling them things. It's see what you can get out of it. Right. Exactly. All right, so let's. Sporting Kansas City made quite an impression in its last outing. That 4-0 victory over Colorado. All 4 goals in the second half. I thought Sporting was in good shape at halftime. I thought they were outplaying Colorado, and then the floodgates opened in the second half, starting with Alan Pulido's goal, which I thought was sensational. We'll talk more about Pulido, and we'll actually hear Peter after a break. We'll hear Peter Vermes talking about Alan Pulido too. But let's just talk about the game. And is that as well? That's got to be as good a half as Sporting Kansas City's had all year?
Oh yeah, it was nice for me. I mean, I think aside from the loss to Philadelphia in the MLS, the MLS's back tournament, I think every single game this year it's been close right down to the end. It's always Sporting is winning, but they concede a late goal, just late goals everywhere. So it was nice for me, but I'm sure it was nice for the team as well. So just go out there, nice for the fans to. Put up 4 goals in that home stretch to the last, 10 minutes or so it's not stressful. But yeah, that was the best half I've seen from Sporting KC this season. And obviously Colorado was coming off a month without playing a game because of the COVID outbreak in the team, and they had to take 10 days off after that. And you could tell there was rustiness, sloppy passes, slow to the ball. And I was surprised Sporting went into half-time 0-0. I mean, that goal was coming. Pulido obviously had his big missed chance when he had a heavy touch. So for him to come out in the second half, grab that goal to get the wheels moving, and from that point on, I mean, it was a no contest at that point. I think this is off the top of my head. I know half-time Sporting was out shooting Colorado 9-0. I believe that finished 26-5. So,
yikes.
Yeah, it wasn't close.
Okay, well, and that you're right. Colorado, they're 11th in the 12-team Western Conference. Sporting Kansas City is first in the Western Conference. That victory gave them put them at 33 points. They're a point up on the Seattle Sounders and Portland. So it looks like it is going to be a 3-team race over the final couple of weeks of the season. It's a three games remain for Sporting and for Portland. Seattle actually has 4 games remaining, but Sporting that race to the finish begins on Wednesday night with a trip to Cincinnati. Let's just let's shape up where Sporting Kansas City is and their prospects of finishing first in the Western Conference. I know they've got to feel good, especially after the last result, but they have been playing well lately as well. How do you see Sporting coming bringing it home over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just starting with the conference standings, as you said, Seattle does have that game in hand. 3-horse racing. Ultimately, all 3 of those teams at this point, barring a major league slip-up, is at the least looking at, a home playoff game in the first round at least. But for Sporting in particular, you have to remember that because of the whole MLS's back tournaments and whatnot, the winner of the Western Conference now also gets a berth in the CONCACAF Champions League, which is also it's a big thing for teams to be wanting to jump on as well, because that's huge revenue boost, huge for the team brand in the Americas. But yeah, I guess heading to the Cincinnati game as well, it's a nice little start for Sporting KC in this last stretch of games, because obviously, statistically speaking, Cincy is the worst team in the league. No disrespect to them, but only 11 goals scored, 31 against, least points in the whole league of just 16. So you think that Sporting shows coming off the 4-0 victory up against the team of Cincy, as long as they guard against complacency, this should be a easy 3 points for Sporting. But as we'll hear Vermes say, and Alan Pulido touched on it a little too, is Cincy's home games, they've been close. They've been 1 or 2 score games. I know Minnesota went there most recently. They won 1-0 off a 92nd minute goal. So it certainly won't be an easy task to break through that Cincinnati defense. But I think this Cincinnati game, you will see Sporting, similar to the Colorado game, on the front foot a lot of the time. And a lot of possession, a lot of shots, a lot of the play will be in Cincinnati's half of the field.
You'll watch that game, monitor it on television, and write about it. I'm sad that you will not get to visit Nippert Stadium in Cincinnati, site of the game. That is, I've covered a couple college football games at Nippert Stadium. It is, it's one of, if not the oldest stadium still in use in the United States. It was. The first game played there was in 1901. Now it's obviously been renovated many, many times, but it's a cool old stadium, the original home of the Cincinnati Bengals of the old AFL, and that's the home field of Cincinnati FC. So, yeah, Sporting 4-1-1 in their last 6, really have made a charge here, playing their best soccer here at the end of the season. Not coincidentally, the return of Alan Pulido from his mission with the Mexican national team, played a couple of friendlies in Europe. Actually, the team did. I think he only appeared in one of those games.
13 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, 18 minutes against, I think, Algeria, right? He didn't play against the Netherlands. But gosh, when he's on the field wearing the Ivy Investments jersey, he is noticeable. And what a glorious player he is, and playing great right now. What did we learn from him today? From his meeting with the media and from Peter Vermes?
I mean, it's something that we obviously already knew, but the guy only wants to do one thing, and it's to win. And I know we can say that about all players. But, going off like what Vermes said, he's not a loud player. He just leads by example. He'll show up to the training field. He'll put in 110%. He'll go out on the field, put in 120%. You look at a lot of players who they first come to the league could take a little bit of time to integrate in, and I was surprised that Pulido came in and had such a big impact that he did. I don't know if that's because teams were so used to Sporting KC's way of playing through the Dom Dwyer days going way back, and Christian Yameth, and always having this target man up front. And now you've brought in Alan Pulido, who's completely different. He's got more of a false nine. And he's just, everything he does, it's drawing defenders out of position, it's giving other players space, and when he's not doing that, he's taking the ball himself and creating chances and goals that almost out of nothing, which is what we saw in that first goal against Colorado. I mean, back to goal, touch out, shot across his body, which was incredibly hard to do, and boom, it's 1-0. And so, yeah, you can see a noticeable difference within Sporting KC when he's on the field, just from the whole way they play. And, whether it's Kyrie Shelton up top or Eric Hurtado, that's going back to these big guys who are more target men and a little bit more of what teams are used to from Sporting. So when you get Alan Pulido in there, it's just a completely different way of playing. When you have a player as talented as him up there, teams just struggle to defend him for a full 90 minutes.
Really, something of a risk to spend the kind of money that Sporting did for the transfer fee, close to up to $10 million for him. So this one, to me, had to pay off for Sporting, didn't it? And it looks like it. It's on its way to doing just that, which I think is a terrific sign for Sporting Kansas City fans who are going to perhaps be hopeful that this type of thing can happen more often for the team going forward. Now, Sporting just doesn't do that. He was the first, obviously the most Sporting has ever paid for in a transfer fee for a player. Should this open the door for more acquisitions like this?
I mean, you hope that it's a statement of intent, so to speak. And it does open the door to that, Mexican viewership. I know, obviously, Sporting KC has had Mexican players in the past, but this is the first one where he's in and around the national team. He's getting minutes, granted, not so much the last. Well, I'll say that. It was his first call up in a while recently, but he's getting back in the mix. But you look at, I hate to say it, I mean, he's 29 years old, he's turning 30, next year, and of course, he shows no sign of slowing down, and 30 isn't exactly old for a soccer player. But it's not like he can sit on Pulido for the next 6, 7, 8 years. So, you'll have him for a few more years, but hopefully this shows a sign of intent that Sporting is not only afraid to spend big money on players that it believes will do well, but it knows how to use them, and knows when to spend the money. Over these next few years, you'll hopefully start seeing it again in other parts of the field. So then, it helps as MLS grows as well. More money comes into the MLS game. Sporting Kansas City will be able to capitalise and continue growing on this Pulido signing. So even when he starts to phase out a little bit, that's not an issue because they'll have all these other players that they've continued bringing in on the back of this signing to keep the club moving forward.
And we know there continues to be great interest in him in Mexico. You and I were just part of a conference call with Sporting Kansas City, and he was on it with his interpreter. And half of the calls were from Mexican-based media, and he was, each of the topics had to do with his experience with the Mexican national team. So you're right. That certainly doesn't hurt Sporting Kansas City to have a high-profile player from Mexico on the team, one who's playing very, very well. Hey, before we wrap it up, I wanted to get to just a piece of news. There's a little bit of confusion about an injury report for tomorrow's game. Take us through that? We seemed like there were a couple of players who were reportedly ruled out. We heard otherwise from Peter Vermes today.
Yeah, so injury report came out earlier today. Basically, Winston Reid and Gianluca Buzio out. Good. On initial reports, the Reid news wasn't as surprising. Obviously, he was a last-minute scratch from the last game because of groin tightness. Literally, 10-15 minutes before the game. But the Buzio news was a complete surprise. So, Vermes was asked about it in the presser. He basically says that Buzio's been dealing with a bit of a knot in his leg for the last couple of games now, but it's something he can work through. I'd say it's only a knot. It's not going to keep him out of the game. So he basically said, Vermes said when he was asked a question, he doesn't know they were out as far as he's concerned. They're good to play. So yeah, I asked one of the communication folk at Sporting KC, and they said whatever Vermes says goes. So despite what the injury report says, unless something comes out within the next 30 hours or so, both guys should be ready to play. Now, whether they start, obviously, you don't want to head into playoffs. You don't want to continue to injure Winston's groin. But I don't see any reason why Buzio wouldn't play if he's already been playing through this knot for the last couple of weeks.
Very good. Okay, so we're going to take a break here, and when we come back, you will hear from Peter Vermes. And this is where we bid farewell to Shaun Goodwin, who happy to talk to you, Shaun, and get your expertise on Sporting Kansas City, and wishing you well in the voting booth on Thursday. Wear your I voted sticker with great pride.
I will.
All right, Shaun. Thanks. Good talking to you.
I appreciate it.
Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening.
Coming off that 4-0 victory, you're now coming up against, no disrespect to Cincinnati, but the worst team statistically in the league. Do you have to do anything? You have to say anything just to guard against a little bit of complacency within the group to keep going after that 4-0 win despite the next opposition?
Yeah, no. If you look at all their games at home, they're all really low-scoring games. It's a tough place to play on the turf there. They are pretty... they're difficult to play on their field there for a lot of reasons. What they're really good with is they're good with second balls. They do a really good job of fighting for things and scraping and scrapping for stuff, and those are dangerous situations. So I don't think there's anybody in our group that thinks that this is an easy game by any means. We know that we're going into another team's place to play, and it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very difficult, and there's not a game in MLS that's easy.
Next question will go to Nate Bucati with Sports Radio 810 WHB. Nate, your line is open.
Hey, Peter, I know you've told us in the past that you've always kept the table, the live table, somewhere available in the facility so that your players see it and are aware of where they stand and what's at stake as the season goes on. Since we don't really know how they're going to determine the table, whether it's points or points per game or whatever, I'm curious if you adjust what they see or how you guys are approaching just that kind of lack of certainty into what's going to determine who's in the playoffs and where you seed.
A really simplistic view is, first off, we have it on basically every television in the place. The table is, and it's live. But the simplistic view for us was when they came out with the final 10-game schedule, we talked about there being 30 points on the table. And so it was really about us trying to amass as many of those points as we possibly could. But it was going to have to be done in a way that we weren't going to use the last result, and we weren't going to use and try to look past the next game. I know it sounds, again, simplistic, but it was more about, and when I say not use the last game, if for some reason things didn't go well, to now all of a sudden let yourself get into a hole that you got to dig yourself out of it, confidence-wise and everything else. It was that we're going to have to be really strong mentally to get over whatever happened in the last game, win, lose, or draw. We're going to have to get over that game and get on to the next. And especially with these games coming as quick as they are, that's kind of been the MO of the group is, we won against Colorado the other night. Now it's, we got to start getting ready for Cincinnati. And the biggest thing is we got to get our batteries recharged. We got to, put in the game plan. We got to understand what are the nuances or details that we all have to understand, and we have to go into that game that way. And so, as I stated in the last, question that was asked me, it's every team right now has the ability to get results. And so we have to go in with the mentality that it's not just about us getting the result, but knowing that our opponent is going to come to play. And we have to be prepared for anything because we don't know who's going to be on the field. They might play a different way in that game. So let's make sure that we understand how we want to play, and let's make sure that when we go, whether it's at home or away, when we go someplace that we're ready for business. And so far, the guys have been pretty good at that.
Next question will go to Greg Eklund with NPR affiliate KCUR. Greg, your line is open.
Good morning, Peter. The one-loss tie record speaks for itself in Pulido's absence, but behind the scenes, how do you think the team handled his absence?
I actually think, in a lot of respects, it's been good. I think the difference is that there have been a lot of games where he has not been in, where we've created a lot of chances, and we just haven't put him away. So then you would sit there and say, well, obviously that's why he's the finisher, and that's why he went out and got him. And there's some real validity to that. The other part of it is that I like the fact that we're still able to create really high quality chances. We just need to be a little bit more clinical in those situations. But I think play-wise, we actually have been pretty good in a lot of respects. We had a little downturn at one point way back when, where we were just kind of disjointed, and I've said this before. I put that on myself because I put a real focus on defending at a certain point in the season this year, and I neglected probably the offensive side. And there's one point where we played a game where we couldn't even string 4 passes together. But sometimes you got to take a step backwards before you can go forward, and I think that it served us well. To Soren's question earlier, being able to, get better defensively was a really important aspect to us, and I think the guys, have done that. So, performance-wise, yeah, it's hard to replace guys like Pulido in the team when they're gone. But at the same time, performance, we've been good. It's just maybe the results haven't been there because, we just haven't been good enough in front of the goal, and that's something that he brings.
Our next question will go to Salvador Perez with Goal.com. Salvador, your line is open.
Thank you. Hi, Peter. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Thank you. Peter, months ago, we spoke with you about the team, about the development, about the goals of the team. And also, by lines, I understand that you love the versatility of the team, and also Alan Pulido in that case. But with Alan Pulido return, what do you expect about the Sporting Kansas City, that is leader of Western Conference?
Expect of our team, or what do I expect of Alan?
About Alan, and about the team on the road to the postseason.
Look, as far as the team's concerned, we're still scrapping and fighting and biting for everything that's in front of us at the moment. Having Alan in the team helps that immensely, for sure. What I will say is, and you spoke to it, you spoke about the versatility. What, good, bad, or indifferent, whether it was by choice or by design or forced upon us or what have you, we've had to really tinker with the team quite a bit this year. Not only with the players in the field, but at times style of play, And I think it's made us better coaches. I think it's made us better players, and it's made us a better team. I think we have a better feel for certain things that we can do on the field, and what also things that individuals can do on the field, in the way that we want to play, and then also other ways that we want to play depending on the opponent. And in all those situations, Alan helps us, right? I said this from the very beginning when people asked me before we ever even played a game with Alan. They said, what are the reasons why you got him? I said, well, first off, when I think about a player in my mind that can play in the way that our team plays and wants to play, he's the perfect fit because he can play in between the lines. He can give the final pass. He can score a goal. On a day that you need somebody to get out in the channel and hold the ball up or serve a ball, he can do that. On the day that you need somebody to drop off into the midfield and help create the game, he can do that. When you need somebody to be selfish and just a deadly assassin in front of the goal, he can do that.
That'll do it for today. Thanks to our production staff of Derek Donovan, Randy Mason, Beth Welsh, Jeff Rosen, Chris Fickett, and Savannah Smith. Tip of the cap to Shaun Goodwin for stopping by and talking Sporting Kansas City. Links to his stories can be found in the show notes and on kansascity.com. Hey, we got a deal for you, especially for those that want a deep dive into the Stars' terrific Chiefs coverage. For a limited time, you can subscribe to Sports Pass for 99 cents a month. That's right, 99 pennies a month. After 3 months, it auto-renews at $5.99 a month unless you cancel. And it's not just the Chiefs you get. Sporting Kansas City, Royals, KU, MU, K-State, all of it. How do you get it? Go to kansascity.com/sportspass2020. That's kansascity.com/sportspass2020. Do you want more than just the sports coverage? I know I do. Check out the entire Kansas City Star product. Sports news, features, commentary, and analysis, the whole bit. You get all the stories written by my talented colleagues, plus additional news, sports, and business coverage with the e-edition. The details for all of these deals can be found at account.kansascity.com/subscribe. I know that's a lot of dots and dashes. If you're having trouble hunting down any of these offers, just send me an email at bkerkhoff@kcstar.com and I'll get you to the right place. Listen, whether it's a sports pass or the full subscription, you're getting and supporting the best sports and news coverage in Kansas City and helping us produce programs like SportsBeat KC. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back on Wednesday with another episode.